Hi, my name is Pooja Dhingra. I'm 28 years old and I'm the owner and executive chef of Le 15 Patisserie, which is a French-style pastry shop here in Mumbai, India.
Try cake truffles.
I've been obsessed with dessert ever since I can remember. Chocolate has always been a personal obsession. I started baking when I was 7 years old. I never really thought that it could become a career option. So as I grew up, I decided to go and be a lawyer. I saw all the books and I saw how much I had to study and I said, no, this can't be for me. I always had a dream of having my own little cafe. So I decided to move to Switzerland, and I did a degree in hospitality at Caesar Ritz Colleges. And while I was there, I was working in a pastry kitchen. And that's when something clicked and said, okay, this is a passion, so why can't I make it my career? And then that led to a year in Paris. I moved to France and I studied at Le Cordon Bleu. It was my first weekend there and I was at a party with some French friends of mine. And they were like, oh, you're studying pastry, which is your favorite macaroon? And I just looked at them completely blank in the face, like, what is a macaroon? The next day they took me to a store and then there were these beautiful colors and they were all stacked up. And then I bought my first macaroon, which was a passion fruit and chocolate macaroon. I got out and I took a bite into it. And I think, it sounds very dramatic, but that's when I knew, I was like, okay, this is what I need to do. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to India and I'm going to take the macaroon with me. And I thought, why is it not available in India? So when I came back here, I started doing a lot of research. It took like around 60 failed recipes to finally get something that worked. The first day in my home kitchen, I made something complete disaster. And that's when I started realizing like, oh, there are things that are so different, like just like the quality of ingredients, the butter is not the same, the milk is not the same. Because the rents in the city are so high, I decided to just find one central kitchen and then, have that and furnish that and make sure that you can produce enough from that to then service smaller outlets all across the city. We would set up our stalls in different exhibitions across the city, just hand out free samples. So it was, it started from there and then it just started snowballing till it reached a point where I needed to have a storefront. So then we got our first store and then that led to a couple of others. I think when you start any business in general, you face problems. But I think also, in addition to being being a girl who set up a business, a young girl, because I was just 22, 23 when I started. So I think it was like a bit of a challenge to get people to take me seriously. So if I would call a supplier and say, okay, I want to like buy very expensive equipment, or I want to rent this shop and I want to sign this lease, they would just think, who's this kid calling me, and kind of hang up. And I would actually, that's what I would do, ask my father to call and he would then call them back and set the appointments and we would go and look at the store. I think youth is an advantage. Most people try to use youth as a disadvantage, and I don't agree with that, because when you're young, you don't have the life experience to tell you what you're capable of or not. You just feel like you can achieve everything, which is naive, but it's also great because it gives you that push. And I think that's what worked for me.